All right, everybody, welcome to class today. How's everybody's afternoon going? Doing all right?
So far, the chimney sweep hasn't come. He may come halfway, part of the way through this, I don't know.
What hasn't come yet?
The chimney sweep.
Chimney sweep.
Yeah, the guy who cleans out the chimneys.
Yeah, I'm just like, are you for real, or are you just making a Mary Poppins comment or something?
No. I live in an apartment complex, and today they scheduled the chimney sweeps to sweep out all the chimneys in the building or in the complex.
Wow.
I'm hoping that he doesn't come here during our class.
Is he going to sing and dance for you?
I hope not.
Draw you a picture and have you jump inside it?
No. Then I'll take one of my umbrellas and fly around the town, I guess.
There you go. There you go. How's everybody else doing? How was the holidays?
I'm good. My holiday was good.
Why was it good?
Because we got to see family.
Oh, that's good.
Family that we only get to see on Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Uh-huh. So it sounds like you got some people spread out all over the place, huh?
Yeah, well, we do both sides of the family. We do my side and my husband's side, so we get to see everybody. So we drive to one place. We drive to Boulder Creek, which is near Santa Cruz, California. And then we drive to San Jose, which is not too far away from there either. So.
Oh, and you're in California too?
Yeah, it's about 2 hours away from where we go. So it's a little bit of a drive.
Well, I ran the Seattle Marathon, so I didn't go out of town or anything or go out of state.
Wow. You just decided, oh, I'm going to run a marathon? Or have
No,
you been
I
training?
run it every year. This will be my fourth marathon. But I run up there. I've ran up there for a while now. Between the half and the full, it's been 5 races I've ran up there every year.
Was it cold?
Not as cold as it was last year. Last year there was ice on the bridge.
Oh, lovely. Lovely.
Mine was pretty good. I wish we had more food, though. I don't like it, but I eat a lot. So I just wish there was more food. But it was good. I enjoyed it. Everyone got to see my mom hasn't seen my son since he was a month old, and now he's 7 months old. So it was a good time. He's standing now, crawling, spitting because he's teething, all that good stuff. So she got to enjoy that.
Ah.
And
Do you
I
have
got
video there, Michael?
Like 9 hours.
Do you have a video for me?
I do. I sent you a message in the chat box. I'm at work, so whenever I'm working on customer stuff, okay. He likes the video to be off. But I'll turn it on since I'm finished with this phone.
No worries.
I like to.
No worries.
You know,
I just like to put a face to the person talking, so it helps me remember who's telling me stuff. Oh, there we go. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Gracias.
De nada.
All right. Well, I'm glad everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Nobody's sick or anything. I'm hearing from some of the staff that there was like a stomach virus going around. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. Yep. I almost did a marathon, Bethany, over the Thanksgiving break. My in-laws came, and of course, they kind of insisted that their dog come too. Don't ask. I had to exercise a lot of patience this Thanksgiving. But anyway, so the dog came, and it's like this big, like golden doodle, which is like a cross between a poodle and a golden retriever. Don't ask me how they get those two things to mate, but anyway, it creates this big looking poodle, and they're supposed to be very intelligent and everything. And so, but my brother-in-law is an ultra marathoner. I mean, he'll run like 50 and 100 milers and stuff like that. And so I went out for a run with him on, what was it, Saturday, I think? It was Saturday. And so he brings the golden doodle, and we're running in the Arizona desert. And this is just like 5 or 6 miles, which is, you know, my typical cardiovascular, you know, capacity right now, or conditioning, is I'll run for about an hour, 10, 20 minutes or so. That's about it, right? And so we're running in the desert, and we're about maybe a third into the run, and the golden doodle just goes off after this squirrel, right? So I say to my brother-in-law, I was like, well, should we go and, get the dog? Because the dog doesn't seem to be coming back. And he's like running in front of me. I'm trying to keep up with him because his trot pace is like ultra marathoners, like, and he's like, oh, no, she'll come back. She'll come back. She always does. She'll go and play for a little bit, and then she'll come back. And if she doesn't, then somebody gets a golden doodle. No big deal. If she can't learn to come back, then she won't come back. So, well, needless to say, we get to the halfway point of our run, no golden doodle. So it's been like 25 minutes, no golden doodle, right? So we decide to reverse the trail and retrace our steps, go back to see if we can find the dog, right? And no dog. Get back to the truck where we park, no dog. So now he starts to freak out because he realizes his 4 children are going to absolutely freak. He's going to get in trouble with his wife. So he's like, we got to find this dog. So we run all over, the Arizona desert trying to find this stupid dog. Spent like 5 hours doing it, and they're leaving that night. So we have to go back and get the mountain bikes, and then we're driving all over I was freaking exhausted. I spent the whole Saturday with this stupid animal.
You slept good that night, I'm sure.
I sure did. And then here, get this. This funny thing is, my wife's like, okay. So she gets, her sister, my sister-in-law, and her, they go out looking for the dog, and they think, well, probably retraced its steps back to its starting location. So they went back to the trailhead, heard a dog bark, went across the street, and sure enough, the dog was across the street at somebody's outdoor picnic, getting fed and played with by all these kids, just living it up. Anyway, so it took them half an hour to find the dog, where we were out all over the place all day. So I think I burned the calories off of the meal. Not sure, but reasonably comfortable with that amount of physical activity for a day, burning a lot of calories.
I'm sure you burned it all off.
Oh, man. Anyway, it was a fun Thanksgiving, but you got to be patient with family because Anyway, so I think there's more people in this class than what are showing up to the live classes. I give this speech every module. It's definitely to your advantage to come to live class, and I recognize right now that I am not talking to you people who are here, but to the people that I hope are watching the recording. Okay, very important that you come to live class because it engages you in the course. It gives you that feeling of being attached to the course and knowing what's going on. I subbed a class last week for Kyle Thompson, instructor Kyle Thompson, who was on vacation. So I subbed 2 classes for him last week. And I got all these emails from students asking about assignments and everything because they never bothered to attend the live class. And they saw me for a split second. And here's how they watch the recordings. They watch the beginning, they watch the middle, and they watch the end. And so they just skip through it. We know this, right? And so they're emailing me, well, what do we need to do for this assignment? Or how do we make this up? Or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm not your instructor. I made this very clear, both sessions in live class, that's what I felt like saying. But, do your best to attend live class because you're paying a lot of money for this education. We have a phenomenal curriculum and a great program for you guys, but the highlight of it is that you guys get to interact with your instructors in live class. So if you're not attending this class, please do the best that you can to attend live class. Not only that, but I also want to share one other thing, and I believe I talked a little bit about this in week 1, but the purpose of our live class, okay, is not for entertainment value. It's not a lecture, Okay. The purpose of live class is to collaborate, to get everybody talking. I'm going to be talking about the relevance of the content material that you're learning and how it applies to the personal training industry, how this is going to help you be successful in the field. Okay. And then I'll also try and share some trade secrets. So this week, we might get to it today or not, but there's going to be a, I'm going to put you guys into breakout rooms where you guys are going to talk a little bit about your assignment 1.1 and what your goal is that you're trying to accomplish and what emotional attachment this goal has for you. Why do you want to see this goal realized? How willing are you to see it come to pass? What lengths are you willing to go to see it happen, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that, but I want you guys to be asking each other questions and try and figure out what makes each other tick, right? Now, if you're just watching the recording, that becomes really boring because you can't see the video feed from any of this interaction in the breakout rooms, right? Yeah. And so this will also help you guys get a really good jump start on your homework. I mean, you'll be able to finish some of your homework in the live class when we do these breakout sessions. I don't know if we're going to get to it today because we're going to talk a little bit about some of the different therapeutic models for behavior management that were in chapter 1, just really quick. And then we'll also talk a little bit about assessments for today. Yeah. So that brings an end to me going chop chop, attend live class. Okay, so what did you guys think about this particular statement here? This was an actual statement that was shared to me in for our assignment 1.1. I'm not going to, you know, say which student said this, but I thought that this was very relevant for us to share in this week, for this week. One, because I wanted to touch base a little bit on ideal body image. This is an area that I think this is not an area that we focus on very much in our curriculum, but it has a huge significance in our field, in the fitness industry, and you know, in athletics and personal training and everything else. Body image. Okay. And then also, I like this statement because this was a pure statement. I mean, this got right down to the roots of it, of why this person wanted to be in the gym or feels like they need to be in the gym. So this is what was said. I want to better my body so that I can feel confident in my looks. Confidence is important to have in life because without it, life will be difficult. A better body makes for a better person. And if I was to, I actually meant to capture a little bit more of the statement because the person said also in their assignment that they were not a good-looking person and that they knew that and that they needed to be in the gym because that body was one of the things that they had going for them, even if, you know, facial looks was not something that they had going for them. So I wanted to bring this to the class discussion because it, you know, has significance to body image. But what does this? What are your thoughts on this? And just looking at some of the stuff you guys mentioned in the chat box. So motivation's important. Bethany says, whereas the overall presence is important for self-esteem and confidence, being confident and loving oneself must start in the mind. Okay, confident in my mental abilities and like who I am, I'm more likely to stick to changes that I make to my appearance. Okay, I like that. Good thoughts here. Radius said motivation is a key factor in anything you do in life, especially when it comes to your health and fitness. So Arnold says put the cookie down and do the push-ups, right? Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Put that doggone cookie down and get to the pushing, man. You know?
I can't make athlete out of you. You eat too many carbos. I heard a comedian say, how come everybody can do an Arnold Schwarzenegger accent, but the guy cannot do an American accent?
I don't know.
I thought that was pretty funny. Because he's Arnold. He doesn't have to.
I didn't put the cookie down this Thanksgiving, man. I ate a bunch of cookies, pies, everything.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Me too.
Yep.
Me too. Okay, so Peter says, I feel having confidence is very important. Sometimes help people reach their goals and sometimes hinder a person being if they're not confident. I think that's the gist of it. Okay. Any other thoughts from the group on this? And again, this is the main point of this is to have you guys share your thoughts to the group on this. So Amanda says, loving the way you look is important, but it shouldn't shape who you are. Pardon the pun, right? Okay. All right. So
I think
go ahead.
I think that the statement is kind of two-way street because I like the fact that they say having confidence is important, but you defeating yourself by saying that you want to look better, or like you said, the person said that they don't really look as good. So you saying that your confidence is more in your body looking good instead of looking at it like you're a whole person. The confidence shouldn't really even be in the looks. It should be in who you are inside, because that's once you build that inside confidence of knowing that, no matter where I go, people is gonna like me, people is gonna attract to me. Your looks comes as part two.
I love that, Peter. You should rewind this recording and put that on Facebook or something. That was very well said. Very well said. Yes. You know, part of the reason why I wanted to post this up here is I think there's more than this particular student that feels this way. And it's sad to me. I mean, nobody should look in the mirror and think to themselves, I'm ugly or I'm not good looking, and believe that nonsense, because it's not true. It shouldn't be true. And so I thought I'd take a little bit of time to address this and also a few other factors that surround this, and then we'll get into the behavioral change aspects. But this, I think you'll agree that this basically comes around to what we're discussing in class for today. Okay. So let me get that PowerPoint up here. No, that's not the one. No, that's not the one either. I think this might be it. Here we go. So do any of you guys by chance know who these fitness models or icons are? Anybody know the names of these people? Probably more than likely to know the gal than the guy. Gal's name is Jamie Eaton, I believe, or Easton. I think it's Eaton. Jamie Eaton. And she was the model and fitness icon, for lack of the word that I'm looking for, poster gal for bodybuilding.com. Okay, for a lot of years. I don't think she is anymore. And then the gentleman there, he is a former Olympic athlete in the sport of Olympic weightlifting. His name is Dmitry Kolikov, and he's retired from Olympic lifting, and he's kind of, well, he's on the circuit with, doing the circuit with CrossFit. So he's kind of like a CrossFit model or a CrossFit athlete that's an icon. Okay. Now, would you guys be of the impression that most people would look at these two people and think to themselves, physically, I'd love to look like that? Talking about most people. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on that. Okay. By the way, Dmitry Kolikov, if you look him up on YouTube, he's got some crazy stuff. You know, some good entertainment value, but never lift that way. Okay, what he's doing there is crazy stuff, and he knows it. Okay, but he loves the spotlight. Okay, so he's having a good old time. But yeah, I would have to say that most people would look at these people and think, you know, dang, I'd love to look like that. Okay. Now, here's the reality, and here's a few facts. Okay. One, you do not have to look like a model to be a fantastic trainer. However, the hegemony of society, or the way society views personal trainers, is if you do not have the ideal body image that they're looking for, they automatically assume that you could not help them get there. Okay. For some reason, though, the general public does not feel that way about strength and conditioning coaches. I think we may have talked about this before. Okay, there's a definite difference between a strength and conditioning coach, male or female, okay, compared to a personal trainer in the industry, male or female, right? A strength and conditioning coach will come into the gym and have 2 boxes of pizza there, and the whole team will say, "Hey, coach got us pizza," and he'll say, "No, this is my dinner. Get your own." And he'll eat the 2 pizzas, right? Won't care. Weigh 500 pounds, still a good strength and conditioning coach, right? But if you're a personal trainer and you walk into the gym and you're eating 2 pieces of pizza stacked on top of each other, what's everybody going to think?
I want pizza.
Where am I? Planet Fitness?
They're going to think you're a bad trainer because you're eating stuff that you're going to tell them they can't eat. You don't have ideal body shape. Consequently, running coaching is kind of like the strength and conditioning coach. You don't have to be a skinny marathoner from Kenya looking to have people hire you as a run coach.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. So what I'm trying to point out, and I think you guys would agree from what you've seen though, is that it's not necessarily fair, but the general public do happen to judge personal trainers on their appearance. And that is a fact. I don't make the rules. I'm just, you know, sharing them with you. And so we need to be an example of the standard as personal trainers. Okay, and I would go ahead and say we ought to be the example of the strength and conditioning coaches as well. Okay, there comes a point in time where you will no longer be able to do the things that you are able to coach. You know, gymnastics coaches will tell you, I can't do a double twisting layout. No, I can't, but I can coach it, right? That happens to all of us. I would not want to teach a boot camp class unless I can participate. That's just torture, right? But there may come a time where I'm having to bark out the instructions, coach the instructions rather than to participate. Hopefully that will never happen, right? However, we want to do the best that we can to be able to look the part of, you know, a personal trainer or a coach. And that comes to the story of broccoli here. And this story comes from a really cool, one of my favorite trainers. His name's Martin Rooney. Martin Rooney, and I saw him for the first time at the Perform Better conference in 2013. And he's got a background where he's been a trainer for a long time, and he's trained professional athletes and also MMA fighters. And he says, that's not where the fun is, you guys. I hate to break that to you. He says, there's all sorts of people out there that want to train people on the pro circuit stuff. He says, those people don't listen. They've got to where they're going to be by what they've already done, and they don't want to change that. It's like changing their gym socks. They're jinxing the whole thing. They don't want to change. They don't want to listen to anything different. He says the real power of being an effective coach is with the general public, where you take people from rock bottom and you make them all-stars. You make them victorious. He says that's where the action is as a coach. And he says, he asked everybody, he asked us all at the conference there, all these personal trainers there at the conference. He says, do you guys eat, or do you guys believe broccoli is a healthy food? Do you believe broccoli is good for you? So give me a thumbs up, you guys, or a thumbs down on whether or not you believe, it's not a trick question, on whether or not you believe broccoli is a good thing for you. I would have to say yes, unless you're breastfeeding a baby. It tends to be a little on the gassy side if you're breastfeeding a kid, but yeah, broccoli's generally good for you. So he asks us then, do you guys eat broccoli from time to time? Yeah, I eat broccoli from time to time. Yeah, you know, some people don't like broccoli, but are you eating your vegetables from time to time? Okay, good. Right. Then he says, okay, and here's the question. This is rhetorical. You don't necessarily have to answer this, but he says, are people you know, people you train, people who know you, are they eating broccoli because they see you eating broccoli? That's our job, he says. That's our job. People should be doing what we're doing because we're influencing them, we're motivating them, we're setting a good example for them. That's part of our job, he says. We need to be that example. And you know, I kind of like what he said there, and I think that it's true. I think that it's true. It also comes to the fact there with the ideal body image, and people will judge you. I was at last year's Christmas party, and I was drinking an O'Doul's. It's open bar. It's open bar. I'm not a drinker myself, right? But I had an O'Doul's with me, a non-alcoholic beer. And somebody else from the party comes up to me, happened to be another trainer, and she just looks at me with the O'Doul's. She's kind of got her eyebrows down. She's like, Jonathan, tisk. I said, what? Because for me, I actually think that O'Doul's is an okay drink to drink. You know, I mean, there's, you know, 65 calories in an O'Doul's, but there's no sugar. It's naturally carbonated. There's no artificial sweeteners or any of that junk in there. No caffeine. You know, I figured pretty safe, neutral drink. No alcohol. You know, and she said, I see you drinking the O'Doul's there. And I'm like, yeah. What's wrong with that? And she says, there's 65 grams of carbs in there. Yeah. So, I mean, people are going to watch what we do and how we do it. And that comes into the body image aspect of things. Right now, body image issues, okay, and eating disorders, okay, are very prevalent for people who are in our industry. Okay, it's out there. It's out there. So tell me what you guys see when you look at this picture here.
This happens a lot in distance running. In my field, she would be looking at herself saying, she sees herself in the mirror saying, I can't get my time down to state. If I get a scholarship, if I have body fat on my thighs or whatever. So she reduces her weight to become faster, and she ends up like she really is. What she's doing, she probably has female athlete triad. I'm quite certain of that. So she's actually not only hurting her time and her chances for a scholarship, but she's hurting her health by doing that.
Can you share with everybody? They might not know what the female athlete triad is.
You go way below your body weight, what your body weight's supposed to be. You don't eat, or you suffer from bulimia or anorexia nervosa, whichever one the person prefers, by either eating and purging, or they just don't eat. And they can lose so much body fat that they lose their period. Because she's a female, she'll have anemoria, whatever they call that, where she loses her period, and her body actually cannot produce enough energy to get her through the day, let alone any athletic pursuit she might be attempting to do.
That's very good, Bethany, that you know that. Everybody give her a thumbs up. That's great knowledge. That's very
Clover
good.
Park School District works really good on making sure we're educated on stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Eating disorders, menstruation issues, bone density issues. The 3 triad things for female athletes that we need to be aware of. Okay. And they all basically they basically spiral down with one another. It's like you don't eat properly, then you don't menstruate properly. Eating disorders, causes issues with bone density, osteopenia, osteoporosis, that sort of thing. Okay. All right. So that's Bethany. She's seeing there. She's thinking about, some of the athletes, with the running and that. By the way, I forgot to ask you, how did you do on your marathon, Bethany?
Since I started school, I didn't get to train as well as I normally do, but I still got 3 hours and 57 minutes and some odd seconds. So I was happy with the results.
Very good. Very good. That's
I'm hoping next year that I can have a good training block. I'll be adjusted to school, and I'll be able to catch the unicorn, which means I'll get 3 hours and 55 minutes and qualify for the Boston Marathon. It's a hilly course.
Good for you. Good for you. Have you ever qualified for the Boston before?
Yes, I did at Portland.
Wow. Good for you. That's praise and compliments indeed. Boston Marathon. Wow. Okay. So what about the rest of you guys looking at this picture here?
Someone trying to fit into a mold of what they think they should be. I have 4 sisters, and one of my sisters actually had something similar like this. She kept telling herself over and over and over again that she was fat because she was trying to please someone else, and she stopped eating a lot. And then came the whole, denial thing. And the thing happens also with gymnasts as well, especially in women trying to, nail this perfect move, but you're a little bit heavier. That's why Chinese gymnasts are really, really good. They're a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter. Those power moves come a little bit easier because they're, they float. So like I was saying, my sister had a similar case like this, trying to fit into the mold of what she thought this guy that she was into, what he would like. And they actually end up being together anyway, and then we had to do therapy. But that's what I see when I see her looking back at herself. She sees that she's too fat, but what we see is someone who is for the lack of better word, extremely hungry. She needs to eat. She needs to drink more water, and just be extremely careful because it's a real thing. Speaking on on my own personal stuff with my sister.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Go ahead, Ridius.
As far as what society does to a lot of just people in general, they're sending subliminal messages through TV, magazines, and you see like these body images that everybody must fit in this mold. We get so caught up in saying, hey, I need to look like this to obtain this type of stature in society. And we get caught up and it's not reflecting. Hey, let's go to our mind and elevate and let people see us through our aura. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Kind of like what Peter was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So here's the thing, you guys, and I personally believe that this is a fact. I really do. In the years that I've been doing this, I've been paying attention to this for a long time. Okay? Because I'm not going to say that I suffered through what she's going through, but I happen to have noticed that everybody in the gym, nobody seems to be pleased with how they look. And I am absolutely convinced that the way we perceive ourselves is not what other people see. We all see ourselves differently than what other people see. And a lot of times we think of ourselves as worse, or we're more critical on ourselves than we ought to be. If you take gals who are in the session right now, you know, Bethany, Ashley, Amanda, if you go to any girl in a gym, just pick a random girl, maybe on an elliptical, on a treadmill, wherever, and ask her if she looks the way she wants to look. What do you think she would be prone to say?
No, that I need to work on this more, or I need to get this smaller, or this is too fat, or those kind of things.
Exactly.
I would
I
say
agree with Amanda.
most
I agree as well.
women would say that they aren't happy with the way that they look.
I
Most
agree
men.
with that.
Yeah. What do you think, guys? If you go up to, you know, some dude in the gym pumping iron and ask him if he looks the way he wants, what do you think he's going to say?
I guess it kind of depends on who you ask, but most are going to say no, because you're going to see a lot of guys like super big, but they're like, I'm not as big as I want to be. But on the outside, especially with me, because I'm, you know, super small, I'm going to think he's a house, but maybe he thinks he looks like me. So, I mean, I guess it's the same on both sides for men and women. It just depends on who you're asking.
I feel the same way. I'm a little guy. I want to bulk up, but not too much.
I'm trying. I just don't lift. I'm a gymnast. I lift myself. I don't lift weights. I should probably CrossFit or something. I'm in really good shape. I just don't lift weights.
Don't do that.
All right. So, sorry, you guys, I'm switching back and forth between PowerPoints here, but I need to just combine some of these things here. So, like I mentioned, I believe that most people are in this position where they do not see themselves as other people see them. Okay. And this is the last bodybuilding competition that I did. This is in 2013. And so this is my wife. I put this because it's kind of funny. My wife thought that the outfits that we wore were too skimpish. They revealed too much. So she decided she was going to photo edit. So anyway, I'm in the back, and this is an OCB competition. So it's a natural bodybuilding competition. So there's physique competition, there's bikini competition, there's figure competition, and then there's bodybuilding competition, all going on at the same time, or you know, in sequence, right? But you're backstage, and there's tons of people back there, right? None of them want to touch the walls because they're all covered in the tanning solution in that. And girls are going potty with funnels because they don't want to sit on the toilet seat and stuff. I mean, it's all an interesting thing. If you've never done a competition before, you should do one just to kind of go through the experience, you know. But we're backstage, gorgeous figures everywhere. Guys, girls, look amazing, okay? And here's the thing that shocked me. Everybody back there, super hyper self-conscious. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. All the girls out there, they just look amazing, right? They're like, you should just wear a bikini all day. Just, you know, and you ask them how they feel about themselves, they're super nervous and they're self-conscious and they feel like they're too flabby here, or they don't look great over here, or they're worried about their pooch, or there's too much fat on their arms. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Okay. Same thing with the guys. Same thing with the guys. Not to the same extent, I would have to say, in my opinion, but still there, right? And it dawned on me during this competition there that, you know, this is an issue. This is definitely an issue in our industry, because these people are not satisfied with the way they look, and I think they're at the pinnacle of how they're going to look. I mean, this is the best it gets, and yet they're still not happy. Do you guys know what I'm talking? You know what I'm trying to say here? Is like, how much more better can you get yourself to look before you're finally satisfied? Not going to happen. It's not going to happen, right? I even felt that way myself, and yet I'd never looked better than I had walked on stage at that particular competition. I felt like I looked at my very best, and still felt self-conscious taking my shirt off. Ridiculous, ridiculous. Here's something that I feel is a trade secret that I want to share with you guys. I don't know that you're going to find this in any textbooks, but this comes from a clinic for anorexia called the Monroe Clinic in British Columbia. Back about 10 or 15 years ago, they were the clinic to go to. My second oldest brother was a therapist in that clinic. And that clinic started, it was not a medical clinic. It started by a mom whose daughter was severely anorexic, and she noticed that her daughter was not having physical issues, they were all psychological. They're all psychological. She would take her daughter to the doctors, and the doctors would say, they would give her ultimatums. If you don't eat this, we're going to force feed you. If you don't eat, then we're going to put you on an IV. If you don't eat, these bad things are going to happen to you, you know? And yet she would take her daughter home, and her daughter would tell her, I hear voices. I don't deserve to eat. She would hear like schizophrenic type voices saying, you're worthless, you're ugly, I hate you, go die. That's what she would hear in her head, and she could not bring herself to eat. It was like a punishment. So at this clinic, what they did is they started writing themselves a letter, and the letter needed to contain something positive in the letter about themselves. And most people, when they went to that clinic, according to my brother, could not for many months write a letter with one positive affirmation in there. Not one. And he told me a story about one of his patients, didn't say name or anything, but it happened to be a male client, very rare. He was, because most guys don't get anorexia. It's much more of a common female thing. And he said that this one gentleman was about 5'8", 5'9", and weighed 95 pounds. 95 pounds. Was a stick. It was a stick.
It's as much as my sister. She's like 4'11".
Yeah. Yeah. And this guy's like 5'8", 5'9". And he said what happened to him, he was in the middle of his treatment and he was taking a shower. He's taking a shower in an environment he was not familiar with. And when he got out of the shower, he happened to glimpse himself in a mirror that he did not know was there. He did not know that there was a full body mirror there. He stepped out of the shower, and it was kind of like a surprise to him to see a reflection there. And the person that he saw there, he did not know. He saw him for a split instant as somebody he did not recognize, as somebody who was 90, 95 pounds. And then when he realized it was him, all of a sudden the picture morphed into this person that was fat and flabby and ugly. He said it shocked him. It was just an instant for his body, his mind, according to his words, his subconscious to project into the mirror what he saw of himself or what he thought of himself. And that occurrence was powerful enough for him to hit him on the road to recovery. He recognized that he did not see himself as what everybody else was seeing. And that story has always resided with me because I think that many of us, much more mild than that particular issue, but I believe we're all like that. We're all hypercritical on ourselves and we don't see what everybody else sees. And so one of the things that I will do with my clients and have done with my clients, okay, whether they're bodybuilders, whether it's weight loss or whatever, I will not just have them do push-ups in the gym, but I'll have them do emotional push-ups. I want to write this down. Like I said, I don't think you're going to necessarily find these in the textbooks, but emotional push-ups, like regular push-ups or regular exercises, the adaptation is going to make you stronger emotionally. So here's what you do. You go into the restroom or a private setting where you can lock the door and talk to yourself in the mirror. I recommend you close and lock the door because if your roommate sees you, then they're going to think you're nuts, right? It's hard to explain that, right? But this is a private thing. And what you do is you tell yourself that you love yourself, that you care about yourself, and you think of all these positive things about yourself that you can think of. So here's what you do. You have a piece of paper and a pencil with you. You look yourself straight into both eyes in the mirror. And you tell yourself 10 things that are absolutely amazing about yourself, that you absolutely love. 10 things. Let's say that's Monday. On Tuesday, same thing. This takes about maybe 10 minutes, you guys. You go into the bathroom and you have to think of 10 things and you write it down on that paper or that little journal, okay? 10 things, and they cannot relate to the things that you talked to, that you mentioned or wrote down on Monday. They have to be different. They might be associated a little bit, but they need to be different things. Then on Wednesday, again, 10 things that are different from Tuesday and Monday. And at that point, you might start to think, okay, this is getting a little bit harder. I don't know if I know 30 amazing things about myself. Aha! There are 30 amazing things about you. There's much more than 30 amazing things about you. What you're doing is you're training your mind. You're also looking yourself in the eye when you do it, and you're programming your subconscious. You're training yourself to be a positive thinker. Okay? You're also training yourself with positive affirmations about you and what you think about you. Okay? I call them positive emotional push-ups, and they work really well, you guys. And one of the benefits from this is it helps you on in your daily activities and how you see the world, which is fantastic. But everybody goes through life where they fall off the horse, or they get knocked down, okay, or they have to take their lumps, right? How many of you guys have felt like, oh, I need to take the day off work because what happened is just so devastating, right? Well, with these positive emotional push-ups, what that does is it empowers you to get back on the horse faster. You roll with the punches better because your outlook is more powerful, is more constructive. Okay, yeah. So that's a trade secret, that I have to share. Body image is an issue as a trainer, absolutely, but so should your confidence and your outlook on things. Should be at a healthy level. And I think that it's a tragedy that so many of us are not pleased with the way that we appear when there are people out there that would give their eye teeth to look the way we do. I really think that that's a tragedy, especially when we've worked so hard in the gym, right? Any thoughts or questions on any of this? Okay. Just to sum up this whole thing on ideal body image, going back to that one picture, I just wanted to mention this. And of course, I'm not a gal, but you ladies put me straight if I'm wrong. The person who said this said, I'm an ugly person to begin with, and I need to be in the gym because if I don't have a body, then I'm hopeless, right? And, you know, I have to say that I've been married for 15 years, and one of the big shockers for me when I was married is my wife told me, it doesn't matter to me if you get old and you get fat. What matters to me is how you treat me. I think some of the things that are most important to women is not necessarily are we beautiful or do we have a perfect body. It's how we treat the ladies in our lives. And also a sense of humor and confidence, not cockiness, but confidence goes a long way. I don't know, gals, put me straight if I'm wrong on that, but
I'd say you have it just perfect.
I can't take authorship of this being said. This was mentioned by a psychologist, very funny one by the name of Mark Gungor, and he started off saying, he says, you know, having a girl fall in love with you is not that difficult if you can get her to pay attention to you in the first place. All you have to do is notice the things that she does and treat her like she's the most special person on earth, and you'll do just fine. But yeah, I personally feel like that's a really good thing because guys, compared to the ladies, we all fell out of the ugly tree. All right. Let's go into a little bit of what we have going on with our behavioral management. And this is all about assessing readiness for behavior modification. Okay, so readiness to change. I haven't gotten to your assignments yet, but I've gotten to the my morning class. You guys are the second session that I teach, and there's like 30 students in that class. And I was reading all of the goals, and that was one of the things that prompted me to talk about this a little bit today about body image, because there was a lot of people mentioning that they did not like the way they looked, that they did not like how much weight they had, and that sort of thing. And I just feel like I had to talk about this today. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is with your assignments, I think a lot of you guys are hitting this theory of planned behavior quite well and may not realize it. Which means that in some cases, you guys have thought about the assignment and you're recreating a wheel that's already been invented. So it might be an idea. I'm not saying that nobody's looked at this, but I'm just saying if you haven't had a chance on page 24 of chapter 1, there's a good outline on this. Okay, theory of planned behavior. All right. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And I also wanted to mention a little bit about self-efficacy theory. Okay, about self-efficacy. There we go. There's going to be a little bit of this stuff on your drill for this week. Okay. Now, one of the things about this particular course that I wish was a little different is, and it has to do with the textbook. In chapter 1 of the textbook, they go through all these theories of behavioral change in the very first chapter. And I feel like that is a major buzzkill for all the excitement for the rest of the class, because there's some really, really cool stuff that I want to share with you that are aspects of each of these models But if I share it to you all at once, I won't have anything else cool to talk about in live class for weeks 3, 4, and 5. And even in the textbook, they say, we're just touching a little bit on some of this stuff. We're not going through the complete comprehensive aspect of each of these theories, okay? But when it comes to self-efficacy, that is our belief of what we are able to accomplish. What we're able to accomplish. And then we have our self-esteem, and that is what we believe we are valued as, or how we value ourselves. So self-esteem, okay, I want you guys, if you have a paper and a pencil, something just to scratch on, don't have to keep this or anything, but I want you guys to draw, you know, these 5 circles right here. And I want you to just put the first thing that comes to your mind on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being awesome, awesome, and 0 being the worst. I want you to rate yourself on how good of a student you are on a scale of 1 to 10. Just first thing that comes to your mind. Don't contemplate too much. Just write down a number. Okay. You don't have to share it with me. I'll put it on Facebook. No, I won't. But you don't have to. This is all personal. Okay. Employee. Yeah. If you guys tell me what kind of a student you are, I'll say, well, I'm not so sure. No, I'm just kidding. What kind of an employee are you on a scale of 1 to 10? How about a son or a daughter? How about a mate, meaning boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife? Okay. And you don't have to share any of this. Okay. Now, finally, put yourself down on a scale of 1 to 10. How do you rate yourself? Okay. It's a little bit of a trick question, because if you didn't put a 10 for you, you should have. You should have. Everybody should feel like they're a 10 out of 10. It's not based on how you look, and it's not necessarily based on what you do. Performance-wise doesn't equal worth, is what I mean. Okay? You should feel that you love yourself, that you are a 10 out of 10. That's what that means. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay? You should all be a 10 out of 10. You guys are all valuable. You guys are all important. Okay? You should all care about yourself. We're not perfect. We're not perfect, but that doesn't mean that we're not a 10 out of 10. Right? Now, this difference between self-efficacy and self-esteem. Self-efficacy, the easy way to remember that, because if it was me taking the test, I would get confused between self-esteem and self-efficacy. They both start with self, and then the second word, they both start with an E. So how to differentiate the two, okay? Self-efficacy, think self-effectiveness, okay? Because that's what that means. How effective are you in what you're about to do? So Bethany might say, like if I say, Bethany, how confident do you feel if I asked you to run a marathon, okay, in 2 weeks from now? How confident do you feel that you'd be able to cross the finish line? She would likely say, not a problem at all. I just barely ran a marathon, cross that finish line. I'll do it backwards if you want. You know, she probably feels a very high self-efficacy about doing that. Now, maybe if I asked her to, you know, perform to a competitive level in an Olympic weightlifting competition, she might think, whoa, you know, I don't know. But, you know, that self-efficacy is how confident you feel like you'll be able to do something. Okay? When you guys graduate from Bryan University and have your certified personal trainer from NASM, that certification, you should feel an extremely strong self-efficacy in your ability to personal train clients. Okay, that's what you're building right now in school. Okay, that's self-efficacy. Your self-esteem, that goes back to your value of how valuable you are. Okay, your sense of self-worth, your sense of self-respect. Okay, how you esteem yourself, your estimation of yourself. Okay, does that kind of help you guys remember what the difference between the two? Self-efficacy, meaning self-effectiveness. Okay. I like these two photos, by the way. Self-esteem comes naturally if nothing gets in the way. I like that. And then here's the self-esteem Rubik's Cube. It's all the same colors, so you can't, you can't not solve the Rubik. I thought that was pretty funny. Introducing the self-esteem cube. So this theory here, self-efficacy theory, what they're basically saying is there's 5 components that go into your confidence to be able to do something. Okay, your confidence to be able to do something. Mastery performance is a big one that I will talk about probably next week. I call them overwhelming mastery experiences. And it has to do a little bit with that trainer that I mentioned to you that I like so much. Shoot, I picked the wrong PowerPoint. I'm gonna have to merge these together. Here we go, Martin Rooney. One of the things that he does in his training, he'll train groups and he'll take them through circuits, right? And every time, you know, he'll do like a every minute on the minute or whatever, a 30-second circuit, and the bell will ring and they'll go from one station to the next. And he insists that everybody that they cross paths with, there's a high five going on, and their arms are always up in victory. Because he says that there's very few people out there that have really tasted victory or felt victorious. And he says, part of my job is to help them feel victorious. When they're with me, they should feel what victory tastes like. They should know what that tastes like, and he's big on that, and I love it. One of the best group exercise classes, one of the best group training classes that I've ever attended was by this guy. By far, he rocked the house, Martin Rooney. So he wants to make sure that everybody has a positive experience, and that it's definitely, he definitely is good at identifying those. And that's kind of what we do as personal trainers, is we track the data. We track what people are lifting, we track what people are eating, we track, you know, achievements, you know. So let's see here. Like I said, I'll talk a little bit more about this probably in week 3. So for this week, today and on Thursday, we'll talk a little bit about, we'll talk about assessing individuals' physical activity and motivation. So this is chapter 2 in your textbook, okay? where we're taking a look at assessments. Now, one of the things that you're going to get quizzed on a lot in your drill is the aspect that we're trying to find out what the individual feels, what their perception is. Remember, I had the picture of the two ladies, but it was one picture, right? That perception. What we're trying to find out is what these people are perceiving and what is important and valuable to them, right? And that comes into subjective versus objective assessments, okay? So when we're talking about subjective versus objective, I just went and pulled a Google search to help differentiate what both of those mean. And it says in nursing, subjective data refers to information from a patient's point of view, such as pain levels, feelings, and perceptions, okay? And then objective data refers to measurable aspects of a patient's condition found through diagnostics, tests, and examination. Okay. So when we're asking somebody, you know, if this reminds me of a comedian, he goes into the hospital emergency and he's like, I've got this horrible stomach flu and it's killing me. And the nurse goes to him and she says, well, how would you rate your pain? And he just looks at her, he says, it's killing me. So for him, he was saying that it was really, really hurting, right? But she's also thinking, you know, from an objective data, what's going on in the body, right? So we've got subjective and objective, and we don't want to get those confused. Subjective is how the person views things, okay? How they picture things. Okay, for example, if a client comes in there to, you know, and they want to lose weight, right? Their subjective opinion might be, this isn't possible, but I'm taking a Hail Mary shot in the dark here. You know, I don't think that weight loss is possible for me, but I don't know what else to do, right? That might be their subjective point of view. Now, for the remainder of the time, I just wanted to go over, because what we'll do for our assignment, or what we're doing for our assignment, is we're assessing readiness for behavior modification. And I'm gonna, next Thursday, I'm gonna put you guys into groups, and I'm gonna have you guys talk about your goal that you picked out in assignment 1.1. And I'm, you know, if you're comfortable, I'm hoping that you guys will share with each other why you feel on an emotion level that that's important. Why is it important to you? What makes it special important to you? What makes you willing to go through all of that work, right? Is it just the reward? Is there something else there that ties you to it, right? That's one of the reasons why I really liked this particular statement that was in somebody's 1.1 assignment. I want to better my body so that I can feel confident in my looks. Confidence is important to have in life because without it, life will be difficult. A better body makes for a better person. I really like that because that was a true, genuine statement right down to the core of somebody's beliefs and emotional perception of things. That's right down to it. That's the answers. Those are the answers that we're looking for. Now, let me ask you guys this. Do you think that there are going to be many clients out there when they come to you and just barely meet you and you're starting a consult with them, do you think that they're going to feel comfortable or that the environment's going to be accommodating for them to divulge that kind of information?
If it's a cold, you know, like a cold start, like somebody you haven't had any conversation with, they're probably not gonna trust you on the level that they need to trust you to be able to make that statement. Just based off of what I see from human nature. But if they know you and know they can trust you, like somebody from your religious organization or whatever is hiring you, they might know you enough to be able to trust you, but a stranger is not going to trust you at that level.
Okay. Okay. I like that comment.
I agree with what Bethany said. I feel the same.
Okay. Okay. Peter, Ridius, Michael, Thomas, Ashley.
I feel like I agree with what they saying. I think you can get them to. I believe that you can get them to do it though, to give you this statement, but it's not going to be no first on the first meeting. No.
Yeah.
I agree with Peter on that one. Eventually they will, but it won't be right at first.
I
Gotta
feel
buy
like
them dinner first, right?
It's
I feel
all
like-
about go ahead.
I feel like you may be able to get that at first. It really just depends on how you guys are working together. If you're just working or if you're creating that sense of rapport, asking how are you, this kind of stuff, not just being that client and trainer, but trying to build that friendship level as well. By the end of the session, I mean, you may be able to, pull this kind of information out, but it really just depends on how your training is centered.
You guys talk about building a trust. Once you guys build the trust, once the trust is built, then they're likely to make that statement. It's just the very first, what would you like to change about yourself or whatever, the very first interview, you don't have that trust yet.
I think it might also depend on their personality, because if they're not a very bubbly personality, they're not going to come out and tell you, hey, I need to change this or I need to change this. If they're more closed off, then it's going to take them more time.
These are all excellent answers, you guys. I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Here's I don't think that this is necessarily a trade secret, but I think that, as you guys are out there training people, you'll come to this conclusion naturally. One of the best times to have, so you're going to do a client intake with them and you're going to try and get some of these personal things, out of them. You're going to try and read between the lines sometimes, but really some of the best information that you're going to get from these guys is going to be after a workout, a tough workout, when they've accomplished it and they feel good. They're going to feel like those endorphins are going. They're going to feel that runner's high sort of deal. I call it the afterglow of the workout. I think that's my funny joke, because most people usually say that about a great date night or something. But anyway, it's the afterglow of the workout, right? And
I totally get that, because runners are very honest after a race. Complete strangers, they're very honest about their performance after a race. For the same reason, endorphins, they're on the runner's high.
Yeah. So some people call it parking lot talk. Okay, so after they do something, they've achieved something, they feel like they've represented well in that workout, you've also had a little bit of a chance to coach them, and there's kind of a bond that's been built from a shared experience, coach or trainer experience there. You may have a couple of these, and then the person might go and share some information that they feel you would keep in confidence with them. This might not be something that you hear right off the bat. Okay. However, this is what I want you guys to be thinking of. These type of answers that we're seeing right here, that's what we're looking for in these assessments. Now, you guys are going to be taking the assessment yourself for your assignment and doing a reflection on it, but I also want to bring this open for you guys next class, for you guys to be talking and sharing some of this information with amongst yourselves, whatever you feel comfortable to share. Okay, and I'll give you guys an example of this, and we'll end class with that. This is an example. This was an example for me of how I ought to have listened better. Okay. Are you guys able to see this picture right here that I'm sharing, the screen share? Okay. So this is Ralph, okay? And and I like this quote, it says, the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. We'll talk a little bit about that later because there's a really great quote here that I'll share with you guys. But Ralph used to go to when I was personal training in Scottsdale, I would teach a couple of group exercise classes, and one of them was a spinning class. And I felt pretty proud of the spinning class because it was very popular and there was a lot of people that were going to it. And basically what I would do is just beat the crap out of people and they'd show up for more, right? So it was a heavy drive, intense, advanced spinning class. And here's the thing, you guys, and here's where, you know, our skills as trainers come in to play here, because people would come to my spinning classes regularly and a half a year would go by and these people don't look any different from the day that they showed up to take my classes in the first place. And what do you think is the main motivator or the main fitness goal for people doing a spinning class?
Start looking better.
Okay.
Do you mean the people participating in the spin class?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it depends on who the people are. For runners, it'd be cross training and working on the part of the leg. Cross trains it works parts of the leg that running doesn't, makes you stronger. But for the average person, probably to lose weight.
Absolutely. There might be a small percentage of people in the class that have other particular goals in mind, but most people are trying to get a large calorie burn so that they can lose weight. Now, here's the interesting thing about it with your metabolism and weight loss, okay? Weight loss comes down to calories in versus calories out. So if you're burning more calories than what you're eating, you're going to lose weight. If you eat more calories than what you're burning, you're going to gain weight. It's that simple. And when people come to my class on the Monday, they burn a huge bunch of calories. Maybe, well, Ralph, he would come to my class and he would be just drenched in sweat. And, you know, I told him to get a heart rate monitor and he went the next day, got a heart rate monitor, and he would constantly brag to me and share with me enthusiastically how many calories he would burn in his workout. It'd be around 600 or 700 calories in a 50-minute workout. And one day I said to him, I said, Ralph, that's just fantastic. You work so hard. I mean, you're an example to everybody. So, you know, why are you doing this, Ralph? Why do you come to my class so faithfully? I see you in the gym all the time. You're an example to everybody. What motivates you? And he said to me, I want to lose weight. I said, okay. There should have been several follow-up questions after he told me that. I know that now. I didn't pay attention to that then, right? So I went and said, come follow me. And I went and sat him down at the table and I explained to him how the calorimetry for him would work and that how many calories he should be eating compared to how many calories he's burning in the gym. It took me about 15 to 20 minutes to explain that to him. He wasn't my client. Okay, it was just me trying to help Ralph and you know, help the people who are attending my spinning class, right? So 2.5 months later, I'm on the gym floor. I'm on the floor supervising the floor. And this is the evening crowd, a social bunch. And he's over on the scale. And there's about 20 people around him cheering him on. Way to go, Ralph. They're all clapping. He's grinning from ear to ear. And I go over to see what's going on. And Ralph's just thrilled, super happy, big grin on his face. And after kind of the crowd dies off a little bit, I'm saying, Ralph, what's going on? And he says, well, for 30 years, I have never weighed less than 200 pounds until today. And I think he lost something like 25 or 30 pounds in 2.5 months, right? based on what I'd showed him with the calorimetry, and he was just so happy. He was just so pleased. And Ralph, that's fantastic. I'm so proud of you. This work is paying off. Look at you. You look fantastic. This is great. I'm so proud of you. You know, and he says, Jonathan, do you know why I come to the gym every day? Do you know why I bust my butt here every day and work out so hard? And I say, no, you got to tell me. And he goes to the picture that you guys can see right here. He said to me, he says, I've got 6 of the most amazing grandchildren that you've ever laid eyes upon. And I want to be on planet Earth with them as long as possible. He's over 50 years old. He's a grandpa. And he doesn't want to kick the bucket. He wants to be with those children as absolutely long as possible. I thought to myself, wow, I mean, that I found that to be very touching. It made me feel very good that I was able to help him with the little time that I did spend with him, right? But let me ask you guys this. Did I know all of what was going on when I asked Ralph why he was working out so hard doing the spinning classes? Was I aware of what was going on? Did I know what motivated Ralph? That was the question, or that was the information that I needed to know from the questions that I asked him. And I didn't find those out. Now, if Ralph was a client, a paying client of mine, how much more do you think I would be able to help Ralph if I knew his main motivating factor that was guiding his drive to be in the gym was his grandkids? Do you think that that would empower me more to help Ralph? Absolutely. So what I'm trying to share with you guys on these assessments is this is what we need to know. This is what we need to find out when we're doing these assessments with our clients. When I put you into breakout rooms on Thursday, I want you guys to be an emotional sponge, just kind of share with everybody why it is that's important to you to reach that fitness goal that you have, what is fundamentally making it tick on an emotional level. And when you're asking your other fellow students, or even contemplating yourself when you're filling out this assignment, be honest. Try and find out really what that governing value is that's motivating that goal. Does that make sense? Clear as mud? All right, you guys. Thank you for being in class today. I hope it's been beneficial for you. And like I said, Thursday we'll be putting you guys into breakout rooms. I will also share with you a little bit about a trade secret I feel to share that has to do with our governing values. And I kind of hinted towards this in week 1, that what is steering us in our choices in life, if you wonder where are you going to be in 10 years from now, doesn't have to do with, the luck of the draw. It has to do with what your values are. Whether you're conscious of them or not, they direct the course of your life. And we'll talk a little bit about that and how we can use that understanding of values to help our clients reach their goals. Okay. All right, you guys. Like I said, thanks for being here, and I look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Class dismissed.
Thank you, Coach. See you Thursday. Bye.
Have a good day, guys.
Bye, everybody.